Thank you for your patience. Grab a drink, sit back, and explore the paranormal with us. Welcome to the Necromancer Live Show. This stream will begin in time. Thank you for your patience. Grab a drink, sit back, and explore the paranormal with us. Welcome to the Necromancer Live Show. This stream will begin in time. Thank you for your patience. Grab a drink, sit back, and explore the paranormal with us. Welcome to the Necromancer Live Show. This stream will begin in time. Thank you for your patience. Grab a drink, sit back, and explore the paranormal with us. Welcome to the Necromancer Live Show. This stream will begin in time. Thank you for your patience.
As far back as I can remember, I dreamt of a normal life. A life filled with normal things. A life where monsters don't live in closets or under the bed. A life where ghosts aren't real. I just wanted to be normal. But that didn't happen. It wasn't meant to be. Since my early 20s, I've experienced profound paranormal events that would change my life. Extreme poltergeist activity, living amongst those that have departed this earth in ways unimaginable. It has affected my loved ones and children with no end in sight. I could hear things, see things, and feel things not of this world. I asked myself if this was a gift or a curse. With the help of my mother and close friends, I emerged a paranormal investigator. Since 2013, I have been on a relentless journey to learn about the paranormal. I invite you to follow me into the unknown. Welcome to the Necromancer Live Show. Hello, and welcome to the Necromancer Live Show. I'm your host, Justin Brown, and we're going to be talking about recorders and recording settings. I know it's going to contain yourself, okay? We're going to talk about tech and get all nerdy. Somewhat nerdy. Screw it, let's get all nerdy. Missy, you ready to get all nerdy?
I'm ready.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
So, you've heard me talk about 32-bit float before, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember why I'm so excited about it?
It's the best audio setting on the recorder.
Why?
I don't know.
You haven't been paying attention. You get an F. No. So, we're going to get into why. Okay? And there's a lot of people out there, probably like 99% of people who do EVP research, who ghost hunt, who do paranormal investigations, whatever you want to call it, they don't understand audio engineering. And there's a good reason for that. It's because it's not interesting to people. It's not because they're not smart or that they don't care about good audio. It's not interesting. Like, some people find it's like an obscure topic. Normal people don't sit around and obsess about, how their digital audio recorder samples audio and at what dynamic range it does. You know what I mean? There's a few people out there that do, but the mass majority no. But I want to change the minds of those listening tonight and watching. I want to potentially point your interest and get you thinking about 32-bit float and the recorder, the entry-level recorder that you can do it well with different types of recording methods that we use for trying to, record anomalous voices, which you would perceive as voices of the dead or what have you. But we're going to talk about why it is really, really good to have this for paranormal research when it comes to audio. But I want to thank everyone who's watching now. I see Josh. I see Gina. Joseph Moore. Derek's jumped in. And I feel like I've talked about it enough for people who normally watch this show has definitely heard about it. But I got a guy's YouTube channel brought up that I watch a lot, that I really depend on his reviews to make smarter purchase decisions when it comes to expensive recorders. So hopefully you guys can get some value out of that. But we're going to look back on what I've said about 32-bit float before. So if you've recorded some audio, put it into your digital audio workstation and try to hear something very faint and raise up the gain. Most recorders that do 16/24-bit, they are really distorted and really noisy when you bring it up because there's this thing called a noise floor. So your preamplifiers are noisy at very low levels when you amplify them. So most everybody who has done this before will know what I'm talking about. When something's real quiet, you try to amplify it, it's really, really noisy. But with 32-bit float, you don't have that. You can bring up something like 60 decibels and still have noiseless, silence, and you won't get any distortion or noise introduced by doing that. And vice versa, if you exceed 0 dB and record something very, very loud past 0 dB, it won't clip. You can bring it down and without distortion and normalize it without any problems. And that's not so much important as it is what I addressed before. Making quiet things louder without noise and clarity and detail is why 32-bit float is superior. Now you know why 32-bit float's superior, right, Missy?
Yeah.
Why is it superior?
I have no idea. I'm reading comments and there aren't any.
Okay. I'm gonna say it again, just for you. So, have you ever watched, Derek, or seen anybody take a very quiet recording, something they can barely hear, and try to boost the volume?
Yes, you.
Okay. What happens? You hear it louder, but there's a lot of noise when you hear it in the background. And the noise, it's called a noise floor. So you hear the noise floor when you bring it up because the audio that's so low, it's in what we call the noise floor. So with 32-bit float, that doesn't happen because it's a higher dynamic range audio recording. So you can boost it all up and you don't hear any noise. You just hear the soft, quiet noise louder.
Gotcha.
You got it. So that's why 32-bit float is good.
Gotcha.
Years and years of audio recordings being boosted without, with the noise is bad. So now we got 32-bit float
that is revolutionary. That is huge. Okay. Not only can we hear it without the noise, it's clearer, has more detail, has more depth.
So it's like my ears.
I want to say probably better.
Ow. Okay.
So what I've noticed about clairaudience is they're very sensitive to low, speech and low noises. And what I've noticed about you will hear noises and interpret it as speech. So you kind of get confused because it is low. I mean,
yeah.
Nothing against you. It's just the brain's wired like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if we had 32-bit flow at Madison Seminary when we recorded that voice, it would have been better. It would have been clearer and louder without noise when we increase the volume. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Okay, and we're going to, I promise you guys, if you bear with me, we're going to look at a tutorial, not the whole tutorial, but I'm going to show you how this YouTuber demonstrates 32-bit float. And once he explains it and shows it to you and you hear the difference, how it's going to be beneficial. Do we got anybody? We got Joe Vitale, and I see
we got Sharon Kelly Smith.
She said that she was excited about tonight's topic. I didn't know she was into audio. Now we know. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Okay, so now that I kind of give an intro to, before I kind of showed this guy's YouTube video and explaining what I just talked about in way better detail, do you have any questions about 32-bit float? And we're going to be talking about the Tascam Portacapture X6. Okay, we used Interface Des use Tascam DR40s and their EVP setups that you can find online on our website. And we run, EMF pickups into them, EMF sensors, and multiple microphones to do, certain testings and certain setups that will hopefully give us data to either support or, give us data that does not support our theories and our ideas.
Right before you start,
up,
I have Darren Smith, I have Shannon Morrison, and Carmen just jumped on.
What's up, guys? But no questions yet. Okay.
No.
All right. Let's see if I can get it to the point I want. Okay, we'll start it there. All right. This is Curtis Judd. Joe might know who this guy is on YouTube, but I'd be surprised if anybody else watching knows Curtis. Very phenomenal reviewer when it comes to lighting, sound, and video and streaming tech. So we're going to listen to him talk about 32-bit float and what it does. So before I kind of setting this up, I don't know if I went back far enough for him to set this up, but he recorded something very faint on purpose. And with his 32-bit float recorder, and I think in this case it's the Zoom H3. So he's going to bring it up and there's going to be no noise. So check this out.
This first one, we had the amplification level set to ×1. Second one, the amplification level was set to ×8. And on the third one, the amplification level was set to ×1024. Now, if you know anything about digital audio, you know we have a massive problem here. This is going to sound entirely distorted. You would also have a pretty serious problem here with most digital audio recordings because you didn't set the gain high enough. And so you could boost this up in post, but the problem is you would massively raise the noise floor as well. Let's demonstrate how 32-bit float works around those problems. So in this first recording, it's obviously way too low. This was the ×1 amplification level. Watch what happens when I boost up the levels here in post-production. I'm just using Adobe Audition here. I'm going to boost first by 15 decibels. That's better. Another 15. That's a total of 30 decibels. And there's 39 decibels of gain. This is what it sounds like now. In this first recording, I have the amplification level set to ×1 before we started recording. I'm recording into a Sennheiser MKH416 at probably 10 to 12 inches from my mouth. Okay. Now, this is the part where normally we would have a really noisy, the noise floor would raise way up. It would be really prominent. You'd hear everything in that room. Not a great sound, but if we did it with 32-bit float like we did here on the Zoom F3, We're seeing it sit at minus 67.
So minus 67 dB after this much of amplification is insanely quiet. So the noise floor for the Tascam Portacapture X6 is 79. Or no, 69. 69, negative 69 dB. So on the Zoom H3, it's negative 67 with 32-bit float. So just on regular recording, it's almost as quiet as this recorder without boosting it. So that is huge. Why anybody, trying to be serious about their audio recordings, not want to use 32-bit flow, I want to hear why they wouldn't want to, besides not being able to afford it. Because if you can't afford it, that's fine. I remember when I couldn't afford anything close to this. But
so we're doing pretty well there. Let's go to the next recording here. Minus 60 and below usually is great. Here's the ×8 amplification level. We'll go ahead and boost this up here. There's 15 decibels of gain. And another 0.4. So that's about 19 dB of gain. It now sounds like this. In this next recording, I set the amplification level to ×8 before we started recording. And this is probably about where I would normally set the gain on a 24-bit or 16-bit recorder. Okay.
So Darren, it is. The Zoom H1 is better than most recorders people are using. Now, a lot of people are starting to use it. That's actually I wouldn't get anything less than the Zoom H1. Now, there are limitations, of course, with that. And I feel like if you're using that to get serious audio recordings, then you're doing it right. Because the detail on that recorder is phenomenal. So you can bring up quiet noises, and it's not going to be horrible, but you're going to introduce some of the preamplifier noise when you do that. So you're going to have to find some workarounds. You may have to adjust the EQ. You don't want to adjust the EQ on your audio recordings for obvious reasons. You shouldn't have to manipulate the data at all to feel like you got something, or you're making something coherent. Anything that doesn't seem like you're understanding at all, you should just shelf it and just say, okay, that is what it is, and we'll just try to move on to the next potentially and hopefully better recording. And maybe you should try things or do things to make it better. But before we move on, the best thing I can give you as far as information about the Zoom H1 is that the noises it records well has to be very close to the microphones. Things far away aren't picked up very well, and there's two reasons. One, it's designed to have a very short range, so it doesn't pick up everything in the room because it'll introduce noise. And two, the XY configuration that the mics are like in an X make it a more narrow pickup pattern. So those two things would make it not a very good recorder to record distant sounds. To record distant sounds, you would want to get a shotgun mic or potentially other mics. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Go ahead.
Rebecca Boyer said, I use the Tascam DR40.
That's a good recorder.
Crow of Judas said, you're just mad because the DR60 directly talks to the spirits.
You know what? Yeah, I'm so jealous. I can't stand it. I can't even stand it.
Crow of Judas said, Justin, what are we talking about in Carmen's terms? I'm late.
So we're talking about 32-bit float again, and I just purchased a recorder that does this called the Tascam Portacapture X6. It's $300 on Amazon, and it does 32-bit float, and it does a lot of cool things. We're going to look at a review of it. If you guys want to see a review of the X6, let me know, and we'll look at a professional review of the recorder. So far, I've only recorded with it once and messed around with some of the presets. We'll get into it, but I want to finish up this part so you guys understand what 32-bit float is. And you can always rewatch this, Crow, if you want to.
And then the noise floor over here. Coming back over here to our amplitude statistics is sitting at about minus 72 dB. Very good. Okay, let's go to this last one here. This is what terribly clipped audio sounds like. It is horrible. Next up, we're recording with the amplification level set to times 1024.
Okay, since I have Rebecca in here, I'm going to go back to the quiet part. I want her to see how well this raises without noise.
High enough. And so
Rebecca, you can see how,
She was
you can
here.
see, oh, she was? Okay, I just want to make sure. If you want me to rewind this, let me know. I will rewind it for Crow. Screw it.
you could boost this up in post, but the problem is you would massively raise the noise floor as well. Let's demonstrate how 32-bit float works around those problems. So in this first recording, it's obviously way too low. This was the ×1 amplification level. Watch what happens when I boost up the levels here in post-production. I'm just using Adobe Audition here.
That's good advice,
I'm going to
Joe.
boost first by 15 decibels. That's better. Another 15. That's a total of 30 decibels. And there's 39 decibels of gain. This is what it...
Okay, and we're going to listen to this. He boosted this up 39 decibels. Okay, so normally when you do this with 24-bit, it's going to sound noisy and unusable for most things.
sounds like now. In this first recording, I have the amplification level set to ×1 before we started recording. I'm recording into a Sennheiser MKH416 at probably 10 to 12 inches from my mouth. I'd say. Okay. Now,
Rebecca
this is the
said,
part
yes,
where-
I did hear it. I already can tell a huge difference from my
Okay.
old school Olympus and Sony recorders compared to the Tascam.
Yeah, the DR40, I mean, even after how old it is, sounds great. It sounds awesome. Now, there's pros and cons to Zoom and Tascam and other prosumer recorders, but they're very, very small. Like, depending on your application, you want to I use one or the other, but I use both, and they're both great. So if you have a DR40, a Zoom H1, something within the $100, $200 range, you're already doing way better than most people are. And a lot of people are using older recorders because they get crappier recordings that they can, then perceive more voices because they're hearing noises they don't really recognize. So the brain kicks in, pareidolia sets in, and they can just basically perceive whatever those weird noises are. The better the recorder, the less anomalous voices, anomalous things you will record. And if that's happening to you, you are doing it correct, because actually capturing anomalous audio, whether it's voices, footsteps, or anything like that, is rare. And it doesn't like to happen when you want, unless you're at a very, very haunted location. And the best one that I know of near me is Monroe House for that type of stuff. Like, it is rare for you not to get anything on audio when you go. You'll get at least one little thing as long as you stay long enough. But there are a few other places that I would...
Joe Vitale said, I was just going to say the better recorder, the less likely you're going to get an EVP. LOL.
Yeah, I mean, he just knows because he's been doing it for so long, and he's probably started with the crappiest thing ever, and now he has, good stuff. So if anybody has gone down that journey, you're going to find that out very, very quickly. And what upsets me is I take this so seriously. I know there's something weird going on. I can't say that it's ghosts or dead people, but what I can say is there are voices coming from the thin air. I know that for a fact, okay? It happens very rarely, but when they do happen and you capture it with a good recorder and you use the setups we use and we recommend, you can be very confident that there is something going on that we don't understand. And I feel like once you get to that point, you can now submit your very crystal clear data to someone who wants to scrutinize it, okay? I'm not saying I'm at the point where I'm going to do that, but I'm in the direction. As long as we're in the direction of getting to that point where we can do that, that's where I feel like we need to be.
Gina asked a question. She said, is it better to listen with noise canceling headphones, even with a great recorder?
So if you're in a noisy environment and that's the only place you can listen, then yes, that's fine. but you want to try not to be in that environment when you listen to things. Noise cancellation can actually impede on what you're listening to. It gets really technical, but you want to try to avoid it if possible. It shouldn't be something that is better than just regular headphones. If you look at audiophile stuff, people who like get into audio, the best headphones out there are not noise canceling. They're like high ohms and just crystal clear detail and really, really high engineered drivers, and which are the speakers inside the headphones. Now they go up there into the thousands of dollars if you're rich or whatever. But Sennheiser makes good headphones. You want to kind of stay away from headphones that introduce a lot of bass boost and a lot of
the Beats by Dr. Dre.
Yeah, that's actually bad. Do not use Beats if you can help it. You want to use really flat headphones, and headphones that people use to do audio engineering and mixing and stuff for recordings.
He said,
good question.
Interesting.
Yep. When I capture an EVP with my Tascam, it's usually the best ones I have heard. And it's probably not an EVP. And here's why. When we use the DR40s or multi-track recorders, we hook up other microphones to them. And almost always you will hear the audio on all the microphones, or at least two. And the reason that is because it's acoustic energy. It's actual physical acoustic energy in the environment that's creating the compression waves in our atmosphere, and the vibrations are picked up by the transducers in the microphones, and that's what's creating the audio. In order to improve in EVP, the easiest way is to stick a microphone into the microphone input and cut the cable off to the microphone so it's recording nothing. And the old school definition of EVP is it's an actual imprint on the storage media itself, whether it's an analog tape recorder or digital storage media like SD cards, for example. So if you're able to record an EVP without a microphone altogether, that would be the definition of EVP. Now there's other ways. And if you go on our website and you look at the, here we'll show you real quick. interfacedeath.net, and we go take a look at the tech page. It's going to give me a pop-up here to subscribe here in a second, I think.
We are already subscribed.
I know, right? So if we scroll down here, okay, here's one of our setups. And there's a tutorial for this. So it's got a MagCheck 95 EMF sensor and a shotgun mic. So we are able to try to, if we get an EMF spike, we can kind of try to correlate that with the voice phenomena that we record. And then the other microphones to cross-check the other stereo mics on the Tascam itself. So if we get something on the Rode mic and not the Tascam mics, then we know that that's physically impossible, and it has to be something other than acoustic energy or, physical sound waves. So that's what I'm talking about.
Hi, Becky. How are you?
So when you're hearing those crystal clear, nicely recorded voices, they're actual physical voices. And the fact that we can't hear them when we record them is fascinating to me. And I'm starting to realize that we filter out a lot of stuff, especially if it's spiritual, even if it's physical. So that would explain why people can go into a home, live there for years and not experience anything. Some people go in there and they do experience things. Like even a young child will go in there and start staring at the walls or talk to people that's not there or realize things are there when we in fact don't. There is a filtering going on in our consciousness that will bypass experiencing those things and sensing those things. And I feel like that part of the research that we're doing needs to get better, because it is absolutely going on. And that would explain why, people like Missy and other clairaudients are hearing these voices when we're not normally hearing them. And it's one of the most fascinating things I've learned in the last couple years. about it.
We go places and I feel like I'm crazy because I'm like, did you hear that? They're like, I didn't hear anything.
Not a damn thing. And it's also fascinating that, not everything is objective as far as our senses go. It's the subjectivity of just our senses on a physical level is fascinating. So a lot of psychics will tell you that they have a psychic or supernatural ability to sense these things when that's not always what's going on. And I would, be willing to go out on a limb and say a lot of the things psychics pick up aren't even spiritual. They're actually physically in the environment and they're just sensitive to it. And those that are not picking up on it are not picking up on it because it's spiritual. It's because they are filtering out. And I use the word filter for filler because I don't know what the process or mechanism is. It just seems like that could be a potential reason. But it may not be a filter. It may be another reason why some people hear it, some people don't, or some people see it and some people don't. And I will go into another analogy, but it's not hearing, it's sight. So people see shadow figures. Why? Some people do, some people don't. Well, it could be a natural physical reason. It could be Cry4 cryptochrome proteins in the eye when the scientists figured out that animals and insects and even humans were seeing the magnetic field lines that the Earth produces for navigation. So in the certain, birds in certain lighting situations can see shadowy overlays in their vision of the magnetic field lines and navigate that way. So Cry4 cryptochrome in the human eye may see magnetic anomalies at the certain lighting situations and perceive them as shadow figures or anomalies. So that could be another physical reason why some people see things physically there. You got to consider it, right? Are you paying attention, Missy? Are you hearing every word? I'm just joking. Go ahead.
Rebecca said it could be subjective to receive information through psychic ability. It isn't always.
Yes.
Becky said I need a filter at work or a rock in a sock. Either would work.
You have never been so right. I think that's the rightest thing Becky's ever said on the show. Filters at work. Filters in
or a
public.
rock in a sock.
Or, a fully automatic weapon to the face. I've been there.
Or an explosion down the road from you.
Okay, so enough about that soapbox crap. We're going to actually, let's see. Do you guys want to see a quick review on the Tascam recorder that I'm talking about? Let me know, because I want you to be as informed as you possibly can if you're going to drop $300 on this thing. Please let me know, because I won't play it if you guys don't want to see it. You guys can just go watch it on your own time if you want. But let me know.
Becky said I love the Tascam.
I do too. Tascam is our friends.
Play it, she said.
I will. I'm glad you said that. Let's see here if we can find something relatively short. This one's 6 minutes. That's 3 minutes. We'll watch this one.
This is the Portacapture X6, a compact but powerful next-gen high-resolution digital handheld recorder. The full-color touchscreen makes navigation and operation simple and intuitive. On the top of the X6, we find two built-in condenser microphones. These can be positioned in true XY pattern or swiveled outwards for an A-B configuration for a wider stereo field. On the left side of the unit, we find two XLR inputs and a 3.5mm stereo line input. On the right side of the unit, we have the micro SD card slot, a USB-C port, and a power switch with a hold button to prevent accidental operator error. The battery compartment is located conveniently on the back. To power on the Portacapture X6, we'll slide and hold the power button. This takes us to the launcher display, From here, we have access to a multitude of recording applications, each one designed to make specific types of recording quick and simple. At the bottom right of the screen, we have the General Settings menu. From there, we can change our record settings, such as format, sample rate, and bit depth. Our I/O settings, like phantom power, plug-in power, and reverb options.
It's so much easier in the menu system, I think, from
Make
the
changes to our
DR40.
camera output settings.
The touchscreen is next
Engage
level.
Bluetooth and enable SD card reader mode via the Other
Rebecca
Settings
asked a
tab.
question. She said, so here's a question. If you don't have an external microphone, do you recommend XY or AB positioning?
Good question. So AB is that to like expand the stereo field. Okay, the XY is used like for musical applications because if you have something close and going right into the microphones, you have this thing called phasing that could happen, which is a stereo issue where both left and right are canceling each other out because they're both equally being inputted. So they cross them so they aren't receiving the signal at the same time to reduce phasing. So AB would work good if you want to like get a wider pickup pattern, which is if you're trying to pick up more room ambience with it, that would be what I would do. And that's what I do a lot of the times. Now, if there's a specific thing I want to focus in on and narrow the pattern, I use the XY.
Shannon had a question.
Go ahead.
Not about the recorder, but she has a question. She said, what if they, paranormal experience observers, just have a high tolerance to environmental noise? Some nurses develop alarm fatigue, and the brain automatically filters the excessive alarms and leads them to miss actual alarm noises. Other nurses are more tolerant of excessive alarms, and the filtering happens less.
Right, that would go along with the filtering idea I had. So, if you're sensitive to paranormal audio or paranormal, phenomena when it comes to hearing, that would make sense. And I feel like people with any type of environmental sensitivities in any of the senses or the organs in the body that sense deal with that at some degree. So you definitely want to consider that when you're doing your research, for sure. Thank you for adding that.
In my personal experience, I would say yes. Totally. Because I ignore everything that goes on in this house.
All right, we got about a minute and a half here.
Change system settings and make adjustments to our power and display settings. Certain types of microphones require phantom power, such as condensers and shotgun mics. To properly power these mics, we'll need to navigate to the General Settings menu, then I/O settings. The first option listed is Phantom. Enter this menu and select the appropriate voltage. Next, from any recording app, select the Input settings. This is the manual app, so we'll touch the microphone icon from our input screen. Here we see the phantom power activation switch, so we'll touch that to engage the feature. Now our XLR inputs will be transmitting the appropriate current for our shotgun and condenser microphones. Lavalier mics will also require power. However, different currents are needed for this. Again, we'll enter the General Settings menu, then I/O, then select Plug-in Power. Select the mono option for mono microphones or stereo for stereo microphones. Adjusting input gain to get a good level from our source audio is a simple process. From any recording app, push the menu button, then Input Settings. On the right side of the screen, we'll find our input gain settings. We can select between low and high gain, plus we can use the jog wheel or our finger to raise or lower the input level. Another option is the auto gain function. When this is enabled, we won't be able to make fine gain adjustments with the jog wheel, but the
So with
X6 will
32-bit float,
automatically
this
make
is not
the
necessary
source.
because you can just
When recording in 32-bit float,
adjust this in
making fine
post
adjustments to
processing.
our input gain isn't as important. Still, it's a good idea to set our levels correctly, but 32-bit float provides an incredible amount of headroom, so we don't need to worry about clipping our recording. Now we're ready to start recording with our Portacapture X6, and in the next video, we'll dive in and take a look at all the different recording apps. Click the link on the screen for more tutorials.
So there you guys go. That's the Tascam. Now there's other recorders out there that are more, I think for the price and the quality and ease of use, this recorder, based on my research so far, is the best entry-level 32-bit field recorder. Now, if you want the best preamps and the best recorder that doesn't come with internal microphones, the Zoom F3 or Zoom H3 is better, and the Zoom H6 is even better. And this recorder, the Tascam, has an X8 where it has 2 more XLR inputs if you need more XLR inputs, but that's more money. So this is the one I would recommend so far. If anybody else has any other input on that, please let the chat know and let me know, because if I can spend less money or get more out of my money, I'm game for it.
Matt Benton said, I love this recorder.
Yeah, man. I think for videography, this would work, but I would recommend better ones for you. So I want to throw, if you're in the market for a recorder, Matt, have a conversation with me before you do it, because I can give you suggestions on what you should look into. But by all means,
Hi, John. How are you?
This right here would definitely work in a professional film shoot. It would just not be as optimal as some. John Ward. What's up, John Ward?
He's getting attacked by elves this week.
Attacked by elves.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for popping in, John. I hope all is well. Hope the holidays are being kind to you. I know in Hillsborough, this is not the greatest place to be right now.
Right.
Yesterday, there was a car shop that exploded big time, killed 3 people. And just down the street, someone we works with, wife passed away. And that's really bad too. I mean, it was just like, yesterday was horrible. It was bad, but I'm sure the death happens all the time everywhere. And it just seems weird when it happens in bunches like that. Especially when you live in small town Ohio. It really
as traumatic as that too.
It changes your perspective, for sure.
Matt said, now that I'm making money, you're like, Matt, you need this one.
Sure. It's all toys. You definitely want all the best toys.
Those elf dolls are treacherous.
What elves are we talking about? I didn't see the post.
The last book he wrote was The Scareville Merry Christmas, and the elf on the shelves came out, and they're attacking him.
I'm so glad.
Mess of his house
I
every
am
day.
so glad my youngest son, at an early age, did not know about this book, because we used to screw with this kid's brain. He thought the elf on the shelf was magical, and if you touched it, he lost his magic powers, or he haunted you. And I took advantage of this. Every time he turned his head, I would take it and move it somewhere else. Like, he thought the elf was magically teleporting around the house. And
he said it's just marketing for my new book. I know, but it's funny.
I know there's kids out there that are probably scared of the elf on the shelf or respect its power.
Matt said I should attach the recorder to my helmet.
If you want to look even more ridiculous, sure. But I don't know why you would want to attach it to your helmet.
I will look like a bigger dork.
For sure.
Have you looked in the mirror with the helmet on?
He has pictures. He does photo shoots and, film shoots with it. So yeah, he has. He did that on purpose.
We have a picture of Derek in the helmet. Well, Josh has it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it.
It's like the transition makes sense, because if you look at photos in Matt and Field in training and stuff, the helmet, the whole gear, and then he goes into a paranormal investigation scenario and he's still tacked out. I mean, it makes more sense. Like before that, it was kind of like, whoa, dude, whoa, but now it's kind of like, oh, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if anybody else agrees, but it does. The transition makes more sense. What's up, Heath Edwards? Are you at work, dude?
Paratactical, he said.
We still need to film the skit where Matt and a group of investigators are in a building and he's all tacked out and everyone's making fun of him and Matt's just, like, whatever, I'm cooler than you. And all of a sudden the roof just caves in and kills everybody except for
Matt's
one.
Standing
yeah.
there.
The last person sitting there, like, grasping to life, and Matt leans down and is like, I bet you wish you were more tactical. And then the person dies and he just walks away and knocks the dust off his shoulders. That's where it's at.
He said yes. LOL.
He's at work. Man, both Derek and Heath.
Mm-hmm.
People would look at me strange if I watched a paranormal podcast at work. They already, like, the first couple years I worked there, they were like, so I heard you were into ghost hunting. So I heard you were in the paranormal. I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure am. Some
Derek
of them I give
listens to it at work. He doesn't care, but usually he's by himself. So
yeah, people with AirPods or wireless earbuds. Sure, I totally get why they do that.
no, they work in little rooms by themselves with the blenders going, and no one can hear what's happening in the other one.
Gotcha. Yeah,
So-
take advantage of that.
He's making micellar water today.
That I can't think of a better commercial. If you're trying to sell it, that would be a good commercial.
Becky said I wear AirPods all day long. When
Yeah.
Matt came to OSPH with Joe, seen him on camera with he was all decked out in his tactical gear.
Yep, that's how he rolls. Weirdos. I'm afraid I can't do that because I'm on a forklift a lot. But there's times where I could when I'm not on a forklift.
Becky said, because I don't want to hear a damn thing anyone says.
Where do you work again, Becky? I thought I knew, but I forgot. Do you remember?
No, I don't remember. Matt said, my entire company in the Marine Corps knows I'm a paranormal investigator. LOL.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. Awen's boyfriend makes fun of me.
Why?
Because he thinks it's funny and weird.
Well, we'll take him to Moonville, and then he can think it's funny and weird.
I think he would be fine there, but there's some places where he wouldn't be fine.
Right. Take him to Fallsville.
No, he'd be fine there. I bet he goes out there all the time. No, take him to somewhere dark.
Even my drill instructor found out. LOL.
Oh, did he make fun of you, dude? I bet he did.
I'm known as the ghost guy at work, Heath Edwards said.
Yep. Yeah, they don't make fun of me at work. They just find it interesting and maybe a slightly a bit odd that I do, but I definitely was, part of people's gossip when they first found out when I first started. Because, I definitely don't hide it. I like shout from the hills that I do it and do these shows and have a YouTube channel and a website and all that. So it's, you got to embrace it. Healthcare center, that makes sense. I knew it had to be something like that. Yeah. He gets comments about it all the time. It's bad when people in the paranormal community still make fun of Matt. The people being made fun of make fun of him still. Who's laughing now?
The drill instructors started to think it was cool toward the end of boot camp.
Sure. A lot of people in the military have paranormal experiences, and it makes a lot of sense why. At the very least, they're sensitive to it. And it makes sense why. Any new reports of weird happenings at the homestead, Missy?
The one thing I find weird about the house in general is I could be here by myself for days and I won't see the little redheaded boy on the stairs. But the minute Clayton walks to the door and I walk through the dining room, he's right there.
Any theories on why that is?
No. Do you have any?
One thing you want to consider is Derek's presence changing how you perceive. Another thing would be is maybe the child appears when Derek is there. I mean, that would be the first thing, maybe.
I think, well, my opinion or my view on it is the child never had like a father figure in his life, and when Derek is here, he's like, the man of the house and the father figure, and he wants to follow him around or observe what he's doing.
So my initial thoughts would be that he's actually changing the place when he comes.
When he comes home?
Yeah. And by changing it, he is the energy, the psychokinetic energy changes. So it may change how you perceive it, or it may change the whole house. Gotcha. Or both. Of course, you're the one experiencing it, so the whole fatherly thing, there could be something to that. But, I mean, me and you both know that Derek exerts a lot of psychokinetic energy.
Right.
So I kind of feel like that has to have something to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Sam.
Sam, you come in at the last minute. We are only doing an hour tonight. That's all the energy I have. Plus, I knew I can only talk about a recorder for an hour anyway. So to reiterate and readdress the topic, if you are in the market around $300 for a really good recorder that does 32-bit float and you can plug in 2 external microphones to, Tascam Portacapture X6 is in that price range. The touchscreen's really good. The menu system is easy to navigate, easy to understand, and manipulate all the settings. I haven't found it. The only con that I knew about going in was, I know it's kind of hard to see. If you look, it only accepts the 3-prong XLR inputs. The Tascam DR40 would allow 1/4-inch audio inputs to go in. And that's why I use it with the certain pickups that I have, because it works perfect. But you can use adapters to adapt 1/4-inch or 3.5 millimeter if you need to. It's just something extra you would have to tag along and put into it, which is slightly annoying.
Matt said, why can't I have any more experiences where I live? I'm jealous, Missy. Sam said, that sucks. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Who, me or Matt? Or you? Me?
You.
Oh, yes. I worked on Thanksgiving, but the day after I had my mom come over and my oldest son. My daughter went to freaking Gatlinburg with her boyfriend and family. So she wasn't there, but everybody else was. So it was good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was very much needed. I can't wait till my Christmas break shut down. We shut down for the last week of December, and I get like 11 days of not working, and I cannot wait, friends. I cannot wait. I just want to sit here and just do nothing.
But you're gonna be at my house on New Year's.
I am?
Well, we planned on going to see Sarah Dawn in Kentucky.
That's right. Yeah, that's definitely Very, very good possibility. I can't think of a reason why.
You're going to Finland this December?
Yeah. I don't know if it's he's being stationed there or if he's just visiting Helena. Is it just a visit, or are you going there for work for the Marines? But yeah,
Ellenberg
Finland.
is not but 2 hours from me, Sam said.
It's close to Heath. He's down there. I know Heath's in Tennessee. And visiting Helena. Dude, I want to go to Finland. Finland's cool. There's places.
Ellenberg is 4 hours from me, Becky said.
Yeah. Yeah, we got some people down there closer than I am. Any questions about 32-bit float or the Tascam X6?
You might be going to Israel for work.
I wouldn't want to go there right now.
Damn it, that close and no holler. Only his daughter was there. He wasn't.
Yeah, Eowyn was there. I was not. She went to Dolly World, Dolly Land, whatever it's called. Dollywood, yeah. She went all kinds of places.
I'm in Georgia, 30 minutes from Tennessee.
She brought me a freaking huge amethyst cluster. And I'm like, you bought me another crystal. So it's out there on the TV stand. It's huge, Missy. It's like this big.
Wow.
At least it sets really good and flat. They cut it to where it sets
sure
flat.
I'll get to see it at some point.
In person? Yeah. I can send you a picture if you want to see it. But it's an amethyst cluster.
You've seen one, you see. Have to or volunteer to go? Your wife would worry like hell.
No, I don't drink the moonshine that I have.
How the hell was Eowyn going to bring him moonshine?
I mean, she was with adults.
Well, yeah, but he's cracked. Wow.
He's not. I mean, I can see him griping to her about it.
Yeah, I can see him doing it, but...
Friends, thank you for watching. Thanks for joining. It's always great to hang out with you guys and talk about recorders and the paranormal. We're going to wrap this up. Next week, I don't know what the show topic's going to be. Missy, I want you to try to help me find a guest. Even if it's just somebody from chat or somebody who likes to talk about the paranormal and isn't afraid of a video camera online live. So start looking through your friends list.
Okay.
And help me out. But thanks again, guys, very much. We'll see you again next week. The socials are in the video description and they're on the screen. So if you do not know about our website, about our Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter, which is now X. I need to change that Twitter to an X now. Check us out. I don't post anything there anymore, but there's old stuff there to look at. Patrons, thank you very much for pledging. I know I don't put out a lot of content right now. I don't know when I'll be able to. There are some pickups we need to do for the last thing we need to shoot, or that we shot, that we need to get before we finish. So patrons, if that happens, you'll be the first to see that. But thanks for all your support. Everybody on the screen, give them a thanks, because I couldn't do it without them. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. Happy Christmas shopping. Spend all your money. Don't save any of it, because why? We'll see you next time.